Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. for the February 27th ESD board meeting. Consent items. Oh, correspondence first. Do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Consent items to approve agenda and approve minutes from the January 22nd regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Dale, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the minutes from the January 22nd meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Board reports. Do you have anything for us, Dale? Any information?
Nope, not much up here. Just this bit crappy weather, that's about it.
Yes. John?
The only thing I have is, want to give Sammy a lot of kudos for what she's doing in ADL. Clear back from the Christmas play, what she put into that, she went above and beyond for that. Sammy. And she's
a teacher.
But Stacy never stops raving about how much help she is.
Oh, good.
So I'd like to hear that from us.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
about
she
all.
does a fantastic job. Especially for really, this is her first year that she's got her license and she's, you know, not going to college for special ed or anything else anymore.
Wow.
And she's doing very, very well. So.
She's not having to do classes on top of working, then she
Well-
has a little extra energy.
Well, no, she is taking classes.
Oh, she's still with
Yeah,
that?
she
Okay.
wants to become our autism specialist.
Oh, that's right, yes,
So
yes.
I think she's a perfect person for
Yes.
it too.
She is. When she was willing to do it, because I wasn't gonna push her to do it this year. I wanted to give her a year off. But she volunteered for it and said, I wanna do it, so,
Figure out just keep going, huh?
yeah.
Okay, financial report, Sarah?
Okay, so I had some time to look at some different projections and where we are in places. As you guys are aware, we have a balance from last year's 90% requirement that we need to spend down, and we are making good progress on spending that down. But we are projected still at the end of the year to have $28,000 that we need to spend on schools. I don't know if that's something we can spend this year or if it will be presented to carry over. I'm not sure that part of it.
We haven't budgeted for that per se, have we? In other words, do we have to have a budget resolution to be able to spend it again?
I think that depends on where we spend it.
I'm sure if you asked the superintendents, they could find ways to spend it.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
You know,
And then some.
and this has got to be school services.
Definitely
Yeah.
school services, yeah. It's always that balance between whether having stability of services from year to year or the one-time things. So like, one of the things we did for the current year to spend that balance down was a $10,000 pot of money for professional development that's allocated similar to enrichment, which if we spend down our entire amount, that might not be back next year just because, you know, it was an added service to spend on schools. But if they like that, they might want to carry over some money to make that a consistent service. But if we were to spend that entire resolution amount and we get squared up with the schools, our ending fund balance would still be somewhere around $300,000. So we are good on that front.
Are you hearing that, Dale, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. One thing to be aware of is next year at this time when we're presenting next year's audit, similar to, I've got the audit to present here too, you're going to see about a $50,000 reduction in our ending fund balance because we didn't spend our 90% last year, so we went into the year with, this year we came in with $350,000. And so that's why next year at this time you'll see a reduction in the ending fund balance. It would be a planned thing. The only thing that I am aware of that could throw that $300,000 off is that there are some charges for past year's internet through CenturyLink that are in dispute right now, and it's about $27,000. And if we have to pay that, then that would really be a hit to our ending fund balance.
And that
What?
can't be, the 28,000 can't be used for that because it would be internal.
Because I don't want to pay it.
Well, what is it, what is it from?
Well, okay, so they phased out their frame relay T1 lines. It's old equipment, they can't get parts, all that stuff. And so they told us, yes, we can provide these services, we can provide these other services that are not frame relay. And I told them, you check the zip codes for Plush and Adele. And they said, we can provide it, we can provide it. And when it came down to it, they could not provide it to Plush. Adele was able to change off onto a Verizon because they've got that cell tower. But Plush was stuck on the frame relay. And the way the state does it is that equipment costs so much money, and the people who are, they allocate it to the people who are on it. And so fewer and fewer and fewer people were on it because it was phased out.
Right.
So that meant that Plush's internet expense skyrocketed. So for like 6 or 7 months of internet, we've got $2,000 or $3,000 a month for their internet.
Wow, and did they make you aware of this before?
Well, yeah, we were getting bills,
Okay.
but I mean, they need internet.
Right,
So
right, okay.
I stopped paying them because I think it's ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
they're
why I'm
still
disputing
using it?
They're no longer on the T1, or on the frame relay. They were able to switch over to a DS line,
Okay.
but not at the rate that CenturyLink said that we would.
Is it possible to go with something like HughesNet?
Is that a satellite?
Yeah,
We would have to cut down the trees around the school.
I'm sorry?
We would have to cut down the trees around the school. And I just, I've talked to different people around, like Chandra and Luann, both out of Plush I've talked to, and they say that the satellite radio or internet isn't great out there anyway.
Really?
Yeah, that there's a frustrating lag time, and if, once you hit your quota for the month, they back you way down, so your speed is ridiculously slow, and different things like that. It's not like TNet at all, where
Yeah.
with TNet, they've got the microwave beam or whatever that it is, but they don't, I did look into satellite internet,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay.
So that's what that charge is from. I'm hoping, it's been in dispute for a long time, and I kind of push them a little bit every now and then, but I'm worried that they're not going to waive those charges, so I don't push too hard, So that is out there, I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. I think that's about it on current year finances. Are there any
One of-
questions on that part?
One of the things that the superintendents have been talking about as far as spending down that money is the nursing services. And when we looked at the Duffer contract that they have with their nursing services, they're paying $12 per ADM. And so it would end up being about $14,400 for us for a year's worth of service. And it's not, it's not for a full-time person, it's kind of an as-needed kind of a thing. So we're in conversation right now with Charlie at the hospital. They had a meeting yesterday. I was out shoveling snow, and Will called me as I'm shoveling snow, and I'm like, I'm shoveling snow, sorry. Anyway, they talked about it and stuff. We're using Duffer's contract, looking at that. We're doing some tweaks to it. It looks like it may be a possibility. So we'll hopefully maybe be able to reduce that 28 by half, if we, and that'll give us a year's worth of service. So, and hopefully it'll be a year's worth, which means it would be till now next year. So.
Okay, so are there any other questions on the current year finances? If not, I'll start on the audit part. Okay, so on the audit, I'm sorry Dale, you don't have a copy in front of you. But the rest of you guys, on page 2 of the audit, I just want to point this out. It's the Auditors Letter. And this is a,
No.
or sorry, of the actual booklet, yeah. This is the first for the ESD. Normally we have an unmodified opinion from the auditors saying everything is great. They believe everything is stated fairly. This year, we knowingly did not incorporate one of the GASB rules, which is to get an actuarial estimate of what our, having retirees on our OEBB insurance, how that affects our premiums. They wanted an actuarial study done and incorporated into the audit, which for us amounts to a $2,000 or $3,000 payment somewhere for them to basically give our auditors a note to put into the booklet, and it doesn't really help us. It's just $2,000 or $3,000 gone. So we decided to not do it this year, and we'll probably do it, I don't know, once every 3 years, just, to make it to where we don't get a serious finding on our audit document. But that is on page 2 where they have a summary of opinions at the top, and the governmental activities is qualified opinion, which is not very intuitive. Qualified opinion is not a good thing. It's where they make a caveat like everything's good except for this thing.
Except for that.
Yeah. So
Do we have any retired?
it doesn't. The rule doesn't really make sense to me because I think it's like statewide retirees because it's OEBB. But like if Bob Nash, if he is still on, if he's still COBRA-ing OEBB, even though we don't pay anything for his benefits, he's a retiree who's accessing OEBB. And that could affect our rates because it increases the age of the overall pool of people on OEBB.
Am I on them?
You're probably Medicare by now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
OEBB doesn't allow people unless you're actively employed. If you're,
I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah,
And they audit that.
they just want an actuarial estimation of the impact. And it is not useful information for us.
How do you
makes
get
sense
that
then.
information?
I have no idea. You pay somebody $3,000 and
To
they will
do
give
it.
it to you.
And it won't help us, so yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes
it's-
sense to just
Well,
do it
I
enough
agree
to
with
where
you. I agree
it's
with
not a
your decision.
significant finding, but
Yeah,
because, that money could be spent
on,
better elsewhere,
yeah,
yeah.
right,
Yeah, and just to
right.
throw it
So
away
we said-
every year, yeah.
Well, then,
It just-
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Before I went on Medicare, I was paying for it,
Right,
Yep.
you were paying for it.
but did that affect the pool?
In some minimal
This
amount.
pool?
Not ours individually, that's why I feel like it should be, OEBB should get the actuarial opinion, incorporate that into whatever rates they charge us as an overhead administrative cost, and then just disseminate the information so that it's one actuarial report instead of 225 for each school district in ESD. It doesn't, and I'm hoping it will get to that point where they will do that, but this was the first year of implementation, so.
So it's gotta work its way out,
I'm holding
yeah.
up progress,
Yeah,
I did
okay.
not know that one.
No, that's good to know, yeah.
Okay, and then the page that everybody's interested in is page 18, where it shows our revenues and expenses and all of that stuff, our beginning fund balance last year, July 1, and our ending fund balance and the difference between the two. We had a $12,000 net loss. Again, that was from spending down the 90% requirement, I think. I guess I didn't really research that. But we ended the year with $250,000. So that's where it is. And if you're interested in how the final actual figures compared to what we actually budgeted, you can find that on page 42 where it will show the original budget, the final budget. So if we approved any board resolutions during the year, that's the final budget, and then our actual figures. And it shows the variance between the two for the general fund. And if there are no questions on that, then we are, oh, I guess I should mention the audit management letter that Oster gave. That is a single page thing for you. They had one nitpicky thing and one valid thing on there. The nitpicky thing was that we had 3 months of bank reconciliations out of all of our bank accounts that were not initialed off by somebody else, which to me is actually a really good statistic.
Yeah, good percentage, yeah.
But anyway, they noted it, and then the budget, we had a budget over expenditures in the special fund revenue grouping for instruction. There were some abnormal things that happened in June, and I wasn't on top of it for anticipating how it would affect and hit our budget, so we did have an over expenditure.
Could that have been not noted if there would have been an official budget transfer?
If I had presented a budget resolution asking you guys to move money or appropriate money differently, then it would have been avoided, yeah.
Just, okay.
Mm-hmm. So.
Overall, we're honest.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you do a great job, you can't be
Well,
100%, we are.
Well, and it's,
It's just one of those
I mean,
things.
And it wasn't
It's-
missing, it was
when the
accounted
paperwork-
for, yeah, it's just,
yeah,
yeah.
when the paperwork
Yeah.
goes through and stuff with those initials and stuff like that, I mean, I'm seeing stuff, I'm initialing stuff
yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
one or two pieces of paper gets through that maybe I don't initial the right one,
Yeah,
you know.
well, and
So,
this missing approval of all the accounts and everything that you do,
Well,
that's,
yeah.
and that's great
The
percentage.
statement comes to you
Yeah.
to be signed, you're not gonna go through and punch in everything. And
Mhm.
it's just, you know, realistically,
Yeah,
spend,
I think it was like 3 out of 36.
They gotta find
so-
something,
they do,
Yeah,
they
and
do.
that's fine.
yeah, yeah.
3 out of 36. Mm.
Mhm.
Any input, Dale?
Well, I guess I'm skipping ahead. I just was wondering why they terminated our agreement or our contract.
Oh, so they have a really hard time hiring qualified staff. And so they've been short-staffed for a while, and the travel is really hard on them. And they recently bid for and received the contract to do the books for Burns School District. And that's a big enough client for them to be able to cut loose some of the more travel-intensive audits that they perform. So they let us go, and they also let Lake County go. So we're both,
Wow,
yeah. Yeah.
so they're gonna be along with you guys looking
Yeah.
for a new.
Right,
We sent out an RFP,
Yeah.
and actually, I emailed it out, so I attached both our RFP and the county's RFP so
Okay.
that other audit firms could see that there was potential for, combining travel, for
Yeah.
more economy of scale, and I haven't heard back from anyone, but,
Yeah.
hopefully soon.
So will a new auditor end up costing us more now, or what do you think?
Oh, yeah,
guaranteed, how's that?
Just I shouldn't
Absolutely.
even ask that question.
yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Cost is one of the main reasons we've been with Oster for as long as we have, is just,
Right.
they're like $10,000 to $15,000 less than anyone else who has bid on it before.
including local.
Local has never bid on it, although I think they're considering it. So,
Okay. Any, and that's all for all yours. Any questions on the budget or the yellow page, Dale, going once? Going
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, all righty. Superintendent report.
Okay, we'll start out with the purple paper that is in your packet. I gave you that just so you would have an idea of our kindergarten assessments and where our kids at are in the county. Overall, I was really pleased when I started looking at this. The first two columns, the self-regulation and the interpersonal skills columns, if you go across the very top line, that's the state average. And so, of all kids, doesn't break it down by ethnicity or anything else. And you can see that in pretty much all except for North Lake, the other districts, we're a little bit below the state average. But then when you look over where it says early mathematics, we're all at or above where the state average is. And then if you look at English, uppercase letter names recognition, and the lowercase, we pretty much blow them out of the water other than North Lake. North Lake, they've got some struggling kids with those two areas, well actually with all three. And then the English letter sound recognition, again, we blew the state out of the water. I mean, the state average is 7.7 and Paisley was 18.
Yeah.
You know, so I think overall, I think what we're doing for our early learners coming into kindergarten, I think we're doing well. So that's really positive. So then I've got all kinds of good stuff going on with the legislature and all that kind of stuff. I'll get through that first, and then, well, here, let me do this. Let me start out with this. I'll just apologize for all my paper. Okay, so just a fiber update on this fiber going out to Adel and Plush. Basically, where they're at with that is they're running into issues with Surprise Valley and their poles. And so apparently, the word is that Surprise Valley has not kept up on their inspections and that kind of stuff with their poles, and so they're out of compliance. So they're saying you can't hang your stuff from our poles because we can't guarantee that they're gonna be, you know, the pole's gonna be able to withstand that extra weight. But they're wanting Hunter to do a audit of all of the poles going out to Adel. Which I'm not sure what that's gonna do for them, other than maybe be able to tell them, yes, it's gonna be able to hold it. So they're looking, Hunter is looking at what are some other things they can do. And so one of the things they're looking at is running poles, getting permission from the ODOT, running poles down the highway, down until they get to the National Forest land, cut across the National Forest land, so there's another permission from the National Forest, go over to the cut across road, and once they hit the cut across road, bury it from the cut across road all the way on that road to Plush. Once they get to Plush, then the telephone poles going down the Plush Adel road are not an issue, from what I understand. So they would be able to hang it on those
Except
poles.
poles don't go all the way down that road. It comes to Dennis Lanes, then starts again to O'Keefe's.
Maybe they have to bury it.
They're gonna have to,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they may
Well,
have to
it
bury
wouldn't
it.
be far.
no,
Yeah.
it's 6, 8 miles.
Yeah, so they may have to bury it, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's always,
yeah, but, so anyway, so that's kind of their plan B. He was supposed to get back to me on the 18th and let me know where things were at. And of course, he didn't get back to me, which is, Sarah knows is kind of par for the course. They don't communicate real well. We have to hunt them down, you know. So I'm not sure if that's a faux pas on their name or what, but. So the other thing going on out in Adel is we have had the perfect storm when it comes to busing. We had a bus lose an injector in the diesel bus. We had it brought into Halls here. They let it sit for a couple of weeks before their mechanic even looked at it to diagnose it for us. He diagnosed it, said that there's a bad injector, and they're not willing to work on it. Yeah, he said the mechanic said he physically cannot work on that bus because of the way the motor is and the size of the bus and that kind of stuff. So we got it back. So now we're like 3 weeks into this, that kind of thing. So we tried to run it without the injector a little bit, and it wasn't going to work. And so we checked around. Finally, when we had parents delivering kids to school and stuff, we finally got a hold of Head Start because they had a bus, a small 14-passenger. So they said, yeah, we're willing to let you borrow that, and that'll, you know, we'll charge you X dollars, whatever. Okay, great. So we got that. ran it one day, blew a head gasket, and warped the
Oh.
head, and.
That bus has been sitting in
it's-
our lot for 2 years because we never
Yeah.
used it. And it's a 1996 when I read
Yeah.
this, and at your expense, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So,
I wasn't on that. That's
honestly,
horrible.
the value of the bus is probably $1,000 to $2,000, if that. It's just, the old buses are not worth anything. And so we're in communication with Head Start right now to decide, okay, you know, can we split the cost of fixing this thing? Do you even want to fix it? If not, can we just buy it from you? We'll buy it from you for $1,000, and then we'll take it out back and have a turkey shoot with it or something. I mean, just, you know, it'd
Take the
be
engine
cheaper.
out and everything, put it in the playground for the
Yeah.
preschoolers.
Yeah, you
There's
know,
always something neat.
there's something you can do with it. I'm sure somebody can put hay in it or something, but,
What
you know.
year is the Ado bus?
The diesel is 10 years old, I believe.
At least, yeah.
I think it's 10 or 11 years
And
old.
our bus was 1996. We never replaced it because we only used it around town. It didn't have a lot of miles, but
Yeah.
it'd been sitting for 2 years. And I mean, I would go out and start it every couple of weeks. I don't know if they ever started it this last school year to.
Oh,
get
well,
it
starting every
stuff.
2 weeks sure is good for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, oh, I felt bad when I.
Yeah.
It's just one of those.
So,
I know.
we've been
It's
working
gonna
on
go
that, and so, right now, we're renting a van out of, I don't know if it's Enterprise or one of the rental
Enterprise, I
companies,
think it is,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's $1,200 for every 2 weeks to rent that.
Gosh.
So that's really expensive.
Stacy told me that our bus was in the shop in Medford today or yesterday or something.
Yeah,
like
it was,
that.
as of yesterday, it was actually in the shop
Yeah.
to work on the injectors and stuff. So I'm hoping, I can't imagine it's gonna take more than 8 hours to do the injectors, but I don't know, I've never worked on a diesel, so I don't know. So, we talked to the board this last month, and they voted to go ahead and say, yes, move forward on purchasing a new bus. We've gotta get this moving, we've gotta be able to transport our kids to school. Well, you would think you could go down to the bus store and
It
buy
took
a
us
bus.
a year and a half to get our last bus.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I have never seen a more convoluted thing in my entire life. I searched and searched and searched. I found one company that had 9 buses throughout the United States, but that was the only company. Nobody else even had a 14-passenger bus. Did not exist. And that company, they were all in different states. Well, every state has its regulations for a bus. So a bus in Missouri is not gonna qualify for Oregon. A bus in Texas is not gonna qualify for Oregon. Oregon apparently has one of the highest or most convoluted expectations for buses.
Yes, and they
So-
don't do 14.
Oh, it's,
Our
Yeah,
infant
it's-
toddler, our early Head Start, we ordered a bus in January, so it'd be ready for September when we started, and they said 90 days in January, and then April,
Right.
it hadn't started it, we didn't get it the next September, we got the next January. So, yeah,
yeah.
because they don't make them, and I mean,
They
they,
make them
yeah,
when they
and they
order
build,
them.
yeah, you
Yeah.
make them when you order them, but then
Maybe
if
the
a bigger
same
bus
bus
comes
that
in,
went
they get more
down-
money for it, so
They
they're
just
gonna
For
build
Adel,
it.
I don't know,
Pictures
John
aside, yeah.
O'Keefe, in
Yeah.
Adel, he went back to Iowa, I think it was Iowa, to pick up the school bus and drove it back to
Drove it back,
Adel.
yeah.
And I think it was during the winter.
Oh.
Yeah, because we would check and
Yeah.
see where ours was coming from and
Right.
when it was gonna come in
Yeah.
and.
Yeah,
They've had to go
it's
get it, yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like, so, right now, I've got a lady, Kim, for the company called Shetkey. And Shetkey is the bus sales company for Oregon. They won the bid or won the contract for
okay.
Oregon. So we're going through Shetkey. She says she thinks she's found a bus. I talked to her yesterday. But she is still checking in on it. So, and they are a company that if they got the bus in their lot, they would make it Oregon right. So whatever had to be done.
So everybody understands the different state deals and all
Right,
that.
yeah, they understand all the expectations and that kind of stuff. For example, the crazy thing is, if it's an over 10,000-pound bus, which this one would be, because it would have dual rear wheels, or dual tires, you have to have shoulder harness seats, okay, for the kids, if it has seat belts. So you cannot have lap belts. It has to have a shoulder belt or no belts. So if it has lap belts, you have to take the lap belts out of the bus to make it qualify as Oregon regulations. Yeah.
Oh, it is a
That's if it doesn't
nightmare.
have a shoulder.
Right, if it doesn't have the shoulder belt,
Just a lap, then you have
Yeah,
to take the
just a
lap
lap
out
belt.
to make,
Yeah.
that's a good
you either,
idea.
yeah, you either have to have the shoulder belt and the lap belt
Yeah.
together, or no belt whatsoever. You cannot have just a lap belt in Oregon. And I just said, yeah, like it would be better to have something?
Yeah.
But no,
I would rather
you
be
don't.
sitting there.
Especially for the
Then
little
flying
lightweight
up.
ones to go flying forward, yeah,
Yeah,
at least
you-
a belt would hold them in.
You would think that in
Yeah.
a rollover, that it would at least hold you in the
Hold you in
seat or
place,
something, you
yeah,
know?
that's-
Yeah, or instead of standing up and torpedoing down the aisle.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we've been dealing with that, and we're no further now than we were 2 days after the bus broke down, so.
Oh, what a mess.
Some more things, we had a bill introduced by Representative Reschke, in counteraction of that Senate Bill 1067, the one that says you can't have, double insurance for, married folks and stuff. And there have been two bills entered into the House, is 2869 and 2675. The 2669, that one exempts any populations of less than 40,000, which Lake County would be, exempts it from that law. So we'll see where that ends up. We're watching it. It's now on the bill tracker watch list for that. We've written letters to legislators, different things like that. We even, here's a, I'll give you guys a copy of this. This is a letter, the county commissioners supported us in writing a letter, and so they wrote that, and so just for your perusal, that they were willing to do that for us, so we really appreciated that. So I've updated the Esd surveys, so those will be going out in March for our annual survey with all of our component districts. And I already talked about the nursing services. Oh, Dale, this is one you'll love. So the Revenue Subcommittee of the Joint Committee on Student Success heard testimony from the Coalition for the Common Good. And this is an alliance of business and public unions.
Oh, God.
And they're proposing an increase in business taxes
Yay!
that would raise at least $2 billion dedicated to funding the investment in K-12 public education. So, just to let you know, they're going after you there, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Take blood from her turnips, that's all I can say.
Look what's happening in California, they upped the business taxes and everyone's
Yeah.
moving out, and same with
That
New
before
York.
or after?
You can afford it, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, send them
On top of,
a
right?
bag of
Oh my
Funyuns and
gosh.
call it good.
You're making my day, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, if I figure out which bill that is, I'll let you know so you can write letters and complain about it, so. The last day, yesterday was the last day for the introduction of new bills, except for priority bills. I don't know what the difference is in a priority bill, but every legislature is allowed 2 priority bills. So they still can add more if they want to. And the state economists, the quarterly economy forecast is supposed to come out today. I didn't see it. Did you see it, Sarah? Did it come through on any emails?
I
So,
didn't see it either.
yeah, so I think probably because yesterday was a snow day in Salem, because they got, half an inch and it smelled like snow, so they closed everything down. But they're supposed to have the co-chair's proposed budget, supposed to be released in early March. So we'll see where that comes in at. I'm not sure. And then the last, let's see, I gotta have 2 more things. Here is the latest copy of Bill Tracker. This is the bills that the ESD is watching. We are I don't have anything on here. The difference in this one from the previous one that I gave you guys is over on the right-hand side, you can kind of see what's happened with those bills. If they're, referred or having a hearing or what they're doing. And so there are some pretty interesting bills out there. This is definitely worth a read. Dale, do you want me to send you the email on this?
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Okay, I'll email this format, or this paper I just gave everybody.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any of them that are specific that have you take a look at or anything else. I just want you guys to be able to look at this and take a look at it. There's some crazy ones out there. I mean, they're wanting to dictate curriculum in schools and what we have to teach. There was one that was, we had to teach what to do in the aftermath of a natural disaster. So I'm not sure if this was something proposed by some preppers, or if they're thinking that The Walking Dead are coming or something. I'm not quite sure, but there's some interesting legislative stuff. So, and this one these are brand new ones that are just come out as far as new priority bills. Compared to that form I just gave you, so these are some additions to it. So, State Board of Education to adopt rules requiring public high schools to provide condoms to students for free of charge. I'm not sure how that's going to go over, but
Right there with the menstrual products.
yeah. We're gonna just open up a drugstore and just start passing everything out, I guess. So, I don't know.
Different generation.
Things are not private anymore. It's, we're making it public, so. So anyway, that's, I think, everything. The last thing on my list was, I invited Janelle Vizagorskis to our April 24th meeting. She'll come here and we can introduce her to you guys so you can see who our new SLP is.
Okay.
So she'll be coming then, so.
She's working now?
She started on Monday, yeah. She started, it's a tough thing to start work. So we had her work a day, but the day she was supposed to work, Paisley was closed. And then Tuesday, we gave her that day off, for a snow day. And so, we're easing her in slowly. We don't want to overwhelm
scare her off?
Don't want to scare her off, yeah. So today, actually, I think she actually was able to work, so. She's got lots of paperwork stuff to do just to find out all of her kids and get caught up on all that stuff, so. And Brittany has been a fantastic help in getting her, get her feet on the ground, so. And that's everything from my report.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Information discussion items.
So the next thing on your list there is, there's a resolution for the approval of the reemployment of our certified staff. And once we go into executive session, I will go over my evaluation of those staff with you folks, and then when we come back out of executive session, you can vote on that resolution. And then the other is the official notification from Oster. But do they have to vote on anything on that, or just a notification?
Well, what can you do?
Don't vote.
We've been dumped.
Yeah, yes. Your boyfriend broke up with you, I don't know what you're gonna say, but we're done, so, yeah. So anyway, so that's all there is there.
Because it wouldn't help to stock them, they probably still wouldn't.
No, they're not gonna come. So that's all I have there.
So we're gonna go into executive session?
Correct.
So according to ORS 192.6602I, to review and evaluate